And good morning, everyone. My name is Rotimi Itaya, and this is the Good Morning Education Show. We are live and we are streaming all the way from Lagos, Nigeria, all through the world, across the world. And this is a great time to be here. And we are always excited to join you across the world for all our viewers who are here today. And for those of us who always make sure that we talk in and we have a great time together, I'd like to say thank you for joining. And today is yet another day that we will be having conversations around the world of education. We'll be talking about things that bothers professionals, practitioners, and holders as well. So please feel free to send in your comments, send in your location as well. Let us know where you're streaming or watching us from, whether it's on YouTube, Facebook, your location, whether you're in Africa or beyond Africa. I will be bringing my colleagues up. These are strong voices within the education space in Nigeria and Africa, and they will be here to do a lot with us, and they'll be sharing their views across the conversations of today. Today, we will be speaking on something quite interesting. But before we get to that point, let me bring on my colleagues as we welcome them together. So I'll bring on Jude. Jude, good morning.
Good morning, Mr.
How are you
Rotimi.
today?
I'm good. I'm great. I'm great.
Did you notice I called you Mr. Jude?
Yes, not prof.
No, no, not prophet.
Not prophet.
Because I noticed I called you prophet early yesterday and then the fire began to fall.
Okay, you don't want fire today.
No, fire can fall, but let it not fall from the beginning. We had to quench fire a little bit yesterday. And safety chick, I don't know how
Yeah.
many extinguishers he has to quench fire for us. Let me welcome safety chick. Good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, Mr. Rotimi. I'm very well, thank you.
I love hearing
Good
your
morning,
voice every
Safety Chick.
morning. It comes with so much pleasure, so much excitement, so much fun in the air. Great to have you here. Yes. I saw
Thank you,
Ronke
sir.
Posh some minutes ago. I believe she's going to join us. But then I'm sure we're ready for today's session. So before we take I'm wondering what's happening. Okay, but before we do that, let's just welcome Babatunde Ogunshugba. Okay, thank you for joining. And then the excellent teacher, always on point. Excellent teacher, thank you for joining. Abigail Solomon, thank you so much for joining. And Ini Etim Daniel, thank you for joining. She says, good morning, coach. Feels great to be here. Adenike Peters, thank you for joining. And great to have you all here. So, Safety Chick, I think I'm going
Yes,
to
sir.
be picking up on you today.
Okay.
Jude is happy. All
No,
right.
it's for me.
What did you say?
Let that
I
kick
said,
start.
no, it's for
Okay, no. You are safe. You know you are the safety chick. You are safe.
Okay, I'm listening.
Yeah. So, but before we go further, I'm just going to introduce the conversations for today. We are talking about let's talk about school associations today. And Ronke Posh is back in the building. Ronke Posh, I love your hair, I love your background, and I'm waiting for your smile. Can you give me a smile this morning?
Oh my
Oh
God.
Good
my
morning.
God! Oh, it's
Good
such
morning,
she's
everyone.
blushing. Oh my
Gosh.
God! Blush for
Yes,
the
are
world
you
to
guys
see.
gossiping about me? I hope not.
You said,
We admire your hair.
Yes, I had to go back to my hair because I have a meeting with a new audience. I don't know who I am, so I don't want them to think that fake hair is like who I am.
Your real self.
okay.
Yeah, I know
So,
this. Good
so,
morning, how are you, safety chief?
so
Are you guys?
should we call
Body
this style
ma, I'm
the
fine.
posh crown style?
Sorry?
Should we call the hairstyle the posh style or the posh crown style?
Ah, well, you may. You may.
All right. And we have Rhoda in the building. Rhoda, good
Uh,
Good
Good
morning.
morning,
Good
Rhoda.
morning.
Good
morning.
morning.
Good morning, Ronke. Good morning,
Morning.
Rufini. Everybody,
Rhoda,
Welcome.
safety
I have a
check.
request. I have a request for you. I
Okay.
think that the chair you're sitting on is meant to be in my office.
It's
So
too
after the show, please
comfortable.
let's call the logistics officer to ensure that we do a transposition of location for the chair. Do you mind?
No worries, we got it. For all you're
All
doing
right.
for the Good Morning Education Show.
Okay. So we're live, we're set, and we're fired up and we're ready. And we want to thank Carol for joining. Ifyok, thank you for joining. Emmanuel Michael, thank you for joining. Favor, thank you for joining. So before we go into the topic, I just want us to take the news, and then we will be back, and then we'll be speaking about something interesting. So let's take the news and updates and upcoming events. So shall we?
Yeah, bye-bye.
All right. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Yep.
Okay. So I'd just like to ask on the news, Ronke Posh, let's start with you. I see you have a program coming up on YouTube Live. Do you want to just say something in 60 seconds about the program?
Very unusual for you to start with Won't Get Watched first, but it's about the rise in masturbation and pornography at this time. I personally have received a lot of calls from parents that stumbled on their children watching porn or touching themselves. We also know that it's not just the children that do it, the adults also do it. What can we do about it? It increased because a lot of people are spending time online, a lot of people are bored. So it's in our faces, so people are just doing it. So we want to discuss the consequences of being addicted to such, the long-term psychological impacts and the emotions, how parents can handle the situation when they stumble on their child. The typical thing they want to do is beat the child. So how can they handle it? Religious issues that have so many controversial topics will be discussed on Saturday, tomorrow at 6 p.m. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome, and we believe that this is actually something that everyone needs. Great content from Rokeposh. We would like us to share. Jude, you saw the the Bumi Adedayo Foundation. You saw the project that they just unveiled.
Oh, really? I've not checked it. Let me confirm. Let me
Oh
confirm
no,
in a minute.
okay, this is the news. How about Rhoda? Did you see that?
Yeah, was that it? That was the series of within a timeline and the couple of many topics, like many courses that are going to
Yes,
be
yes, yes,
shared.
yes.
That's really good.
I
Okay.
think it's something that is proactive for this period. We've been talking about upskilling and upscaling your skills and all those things. And I think that coming up with a 7-week webinar series for educators is
Okay.
quite profound. You know,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
learned that it was launched yesterday and it's going to start on the 30th of July all the way to the 10th of September. So for those who are listening out there, this is a very good opportunity to sign on or to sign up for such activities. And of course, Eben is not
A
yet
good
here,
one.
but
A
Eben
good
is
one.
starting. Yeah, Eben is starting something. Did you see that?
I saw that the
The
virtual
virtual
class
learning
training.
clinic.
Right.
Yeah, so I would love him to say something maybe when he joins us before the end of the show. We need to know what that is about, and of course, also I put up something there which is called the Teacher Diversification Program, and also the Understanding the Business of Education program. I believe that these are many more resource materials and resourceful platforms to engage. So we believe that more and more people will get to hear and learn about some of these upcoming events. So let's go straight to the matter of the day. So
Okay.
we're talking about school associations today, and we titled it, Let's Talk About School Association. Uh, no doubt, this is not a strange concept or a strange conversation, as the case may be, but I'm going to ask everyone. Uh, so let's start with a question that applies to everyone. Are there opportunities school associations can or should leverage on in this period? And I'm going to start from Jude. I'll move to Safety Chick. I'll come to Rhoda, and then I'll end with Romke. So, Jude, what are the opportunities if there are?
Okay. There are many opportunities at this point that school association can work together with to make sure everything goes on smoothly as even with virtual classes, but I'll focus more on the virtual part of the classes. Uh, best best practices at this point. Every school, especially the association, we should be sharing best practices. We should be sharing uh, ways in which we achieve milestone goals or we have been achieving milestone goals. So this is not the time to start having secrets among ourselves or start having uh, uh, hiding our successes. At this point we should be sharing best practices because most times some schools might be struggling with one aspect and other schools might be actually thriving on that aspect or flying in that aspect. So this is the best time to share best practices for our virtual classes. The second one is have access to logistics or devices. So if they have companies that want to sell devices to parents or to students that are going to be helpful to make virtual classes very fluid in operation, definitely this is the time to get those kind of companies to sell their product and also at a discounted rate, and also a holistic solution to what uh, uh, to what our resumption will look like, a holistic solution. So it can be a
Okay,
recommendation to governments too.
all
So
right.
these are ways they can work on together.
So let's quickly move to Safety Chick. Safety Chick, what are your thoughts with that question?
Okay, so I'll just layer on what Jude has already said. Collaboration is very important at this time, most especially because we know that the different schools in the associations have different financial and infrastructural capabilities. So because not everyone is at the same level, this is the time to see how to group people together who are not able to meet certain needs on their own so that they can have central education. So if, for example, a particular school is doing great in providing chemistry lessons to its students, several schools that are not doing great in that area could work together with that school, and all their students get access to that chemistry lessons. So that way it reduces cost, but the children are being learning. Because one thing we must focus on at this time is that the children are not left behind because of unnecessary competition between teachers or between schools and all that. The association should be that unifying force to help its members make sure that education gets to all their students at this time.
Fantastic. Rhoda, let's hear your thoughts, Rhoda.
Okay, so honestly, layering on the same things that Jude and Sexy Chick had mentioned, I think one thing that is also going to be really good for school associations to engage in is to kind of like have a shared school improvement plan, especially that there are different kinds of schools in associations. So I know that there are common associations, like commonalities within associations. So you have the AFEDs, and you have NAPS. I mean, NAPS, there's like a lot of people, a lot of school income brackets are there. Like, so you have low income schools, high earners and all of that. And so those kinds of, like a really targeted school improvement plan for every group would be helpful, especially now that a lot of schools are going through very a financial downtime. So this is something that will be helpful. But I'm always in the world of mitigating for learning gaps. So what are the strategies for schools to be able to go back into helping children whenever schools resume? Because we know that a lot of children are not learning. And so I think that can help in that space. So like discussing things like accelerated learning, I mean, how can that be implemented? Those kinds of things will be useful for school associations. This is a time to leverage on the opportunity of this period to figure out those little things, and those big things as well. So plan learning gaps, mitigations. And
Rhoda, I think the network is
okay.
Okay.
I hear my.
All right. Let me move quickly to Ronke Posh.
Right.
Ronke Posh.
Am I back on?
Okay, so Ronke Posh, your thoughts on the question?
I really wouldn't be saying anything different, to be honest. A lot of it, however, is very theoretical. What happens in practice is usually far from what we're talking about now. But yeah, ditto had already been said.
All right. Okay, so let me move over to Jude. Yes, let me ask Jude. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, I know that we've had conversations around the education space, especially in terms of how interventions can be leveraged on, right?
Yes.
I would want to ask you, what is that one or two or three things that every school association must do to improve membership quality?
Okay. Okay. Uh, for most of them, they do trainings normally, right? They do trainings, and they actually like should I call names or should I just use analogies? But anyway, you have some associations that organize trainings that all their members come together, they are lodged and all that. So basically training have been the best practices so far, but probably we should also look at implementation. We should also look at implementation, how they are implementing their trainings, especially in their various schools. And most times we find that trainings without proper implementation actually is almost a waste of training. I will not, let me just use that word. It's almost a waste of training, because the essence of training a teacher or training a school is for them to implement whatever they have been trained about. Now, at this point, we should also be looking at reopening guidelines, how schools are going to be reopened, their guidelines, and how each of these member schools can harmonize and make recommendations, proper recommendations to government as when it regards their resumption, and how it can actually, they can look at their facilities and see how it can be implemented in realistic view, because I see these resumption guidelines are very, very stringent and sometimes not practical. So let's look at practical ways, and let's look at what we have around us that can actually enhance or speed up resumption of school. So, and this brings out the access to logistics, because sometimes some schools might not even have logistics or access to components of the demands of government when it comes to resumption. So we should look at access to logistics. If we have companies in China that can supply them these recommended objects to resume, so let's have access to that too. That is my take.
I'm on your show.
Okay, so safety check, over to you. Are you there, Ugochi?
Okay. Yes, sir.
So
I can hear
what
you, sir.
membership? So I would like to ask you, what membership metric or matrix best reflects a school association's overall success and progress towards its mission? Knowing that you've been able to lead an association of some sort, a network, that's Yali, I believe. But I would like you to use your experience and what you understand to explain that question. What membership metrics best reflects an overall success in the association?
So there are different metrics for measuring performance, right? But for school associations, I think the top two they should always look out for is member satisfaction and ability to influence policy and advocacy. So let me start with member satisfaction. When people join an organization, they join for, in this case, association, they join for a variety of reasons. So it's important that school associations know what their members want. And you can't know that if you have not asked questions, if you have not even done a survey from the beginning to know what people are looking out for when they join these associations. Yes. So you need to know what they want so that you're able to tailor your need, your activities, your output to reflect that. So that we do not want a situation where people feel they are just paying dues. There are always certain requests made of them, but they do not feel like being a part of that association has helped them move forward. So if it is training that people are requiring for being there, make it happen. If it is networking, if it is access to information, if it is access to protection, because you see, many times schools by themselves may not be able to protect themselves from certain rules by the government or certain things in the environment, but because they are a part of an association, their voice can be heard. So you need to ensure that your members are satisfied. Then this next one is so important: ability to influence policy and advocacy. It is so important for a school association because you do not want decisions to be made about the education space and you're just finding out after. You were not even there at the table to make inputs that would benefit the educators. We need your perspective at the table. So school associations should be such that when decisions need to be made, they are at the table. I remember that earlier during the pandemic, I was part of a committee that critiqued the school safety policy that will be coming out soon. And one of the school associations president was there. And that is how it should be. You should be there when this kind of important decisions are being made. Otherwise, decisions will be made, and then you're hearing about it later, and maybe the content of that decision does not even favor your people. So this is so key. Every school association must ensure that their voice is being heard at the right quarters, so that for example, I know that some days ago in the news it was mentioned that NAPS was involved in something, and now they are saying it's only members of NAPS that will benefit from that thing that is coming from the federal government. That is how it should be. It should be at the forefront of such things, so that your members are carried along and your members' voices are heard. So for me, I would say for school associations, ensure that your members are satisfied, whatever satisfaction means to them in that context, and then ensure that you are at the table when decisions are being made.
Oh, awesome. That's actually spot on. Rokeposh, please, could you just answer this question? And the question I'd like to ask you is, what should school association, being someone who is involved in schools and someone who runs a school, what should school association actually be asking their members? You know, if there's a demand that they should place on their members, what should that demand be? What should the school associations be asking their members?
What should they be asking their members? It's always feedback. Feedback is the food of champions, they say. So it's critical that they ask them what their feedback is. I'm very happy that Safety Chick mentioned policies, because for me, if we're not able to impact policy and we're not being invited to the table where the discussions are being held, I think it's a waste of time. On Monday, I was on TV and this same question was addressed. The federal government are saying their own, the state government saying their own. Different associations are doing different things. Right now, I don't even know what is going on, to be honest. It's not really something that I'm close to, because in Nigeria, from my experience, it appears that when you're part of an association, it's just for you to get together and have conferences and meetings and trainings. And for me, that it's good to do that, but it's not the end all and be all. We know so many conferences that the minute they say free course and people are coming there, it will be packed full of schools and educators. But is that what it's about? When this COVID happened, how many leaders of all these organizations were heard? What impact, what influence was there? For 1 month, nothing happened. We closed 20th of March. From 20th of March to 1 month later, I was tracking exactly what was going on. 1 month later was when we heard anything from the government. And even what we heard wasn't even anything, to be honest. So who is being invited to the table? Is politicking, and emphasis on the spelling, not politicking. Politicking. What's going on? Are we saying we're part of a body and deceiving ourselves that we're part of a body? I'm not convinced that the influence is there. Whatever is being done at the state government level, the federal government level, I'm not really sure that the educators are being brought and the associations are being heard in any significant capacity. Significant. So maybe they may be heard in trickles here and there. But I expected that when this thing happened and they were saying no online learning, for example, that we would stand and say, how can you say no online learning? How can you allow our children to be left behind international standards? You know, some kind of energy, some kind of force. Instead, you'll be having this NGO, this body, you know, and we don't collaborate. We don't like to do things together. So you have these people having this Zoom meeting here. And I was sick of attending webinars. And I was following all those webinars when the pandemic happened. And some people in the government were consistent on those meetings, and what they were saying were different on those meetings. So for me, it's a waste of time. Personally, I'm not saying I'm a journalist person. I like to collaborate and stuff, but in Nigeria, like I said at the start, the theory always is different from what the reality is.
All right. So, Rhoda, speaking from Ronke Posh's statement and submission, I would like you to answer this question, right? We often speak about collaboration. Can we identify expressions of collaboration within and between school associations? That's within the school association and also between school associations.
That's a strong question. Like, can we identify collaborations between them and within associations? Like, it's inside of the association and among associations. Can we identify collaborations? Of course we can. I mean, from the area of the school improvement plan, like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of collaboration can happen there because again, the context is different. It's just like Ronke had mentioned in many ways, there's the difference between the theory and the practice. So we all theorize around how it's going to work generally, what a school owner should be doing, or what sort of like business plan they should have. Meanwhile, a business plan for someone who is in somewhere down in Ondo State is a different business plan from someone in Lagos State or in the East, in Kaduna, or, it's just different. And so the kind of collaborations that can happen is one that they have these shared plans, shared, improvement plans, how they can all figure out how to move the agenda or their purpose within their communities. So that's one area that I feel that there's a lot of collaboration on. And I guess I'm going to talk about collaboration on collecting the research. So when people, one thing data is king, right? Data does not lie. And so when we're talking about how the government is speaking from one corner of the mouth and then the reality is something else, one collaboration that can happen is in the collection of data because once I can get what is happening in your school and in your own context with your families, especially when it comes to some people who can actually go on with online learning and some who cannot, those percentages will be important in making a case. There's no more room for especially if you have strong associations, you should be on the table, like Safety Tick said, but you should be on the table with some information, powerful information that does not lie, and people can use. So the collaboration for me is on their improvement plans, of course, on how they are going to do that. They should come together to discuss that. They should also come together to collect their information, collect whatever information they have. It's simple. It's not something that a statistician must do for you. Just take the sheer numbers and share. So these are my thoughts amongst many others.
Before I let you off, I know you always speak of data, Rhoda. You're always a data person. I think the D in your name is data. So okay, so research as an investment, not a cost. Should school association prioritize research? Right? Should they prioritize research as a tool for becoming a formidable pressure group? Why or why not?
I mean, to me, the answer. And let me quickly apologize for taking off my video. I'm having internet issues. I noticed I was going off and on. So apologies for that. So I took off the video just for that reason. So there will be a smooth communication. So Rotimi, the D, like you said, I'm in the world of research, and it doesn't lie. The truth is, it doesn't lie, and it has a powerful way of convincing people. Because if it's the truth, it is the truth, and that's the data often shows the reality, especially when it's honest, from the teams. And so, I was in a situation not too long ago where a decision was going to be made on behalf of Nigerians who had a peculiar situation. And what was the situation? We were stranded. We were stranded outside this country. And one of the plans was to take on a destination that wasn't the common destination, right? And so what we did was, I was in this platform and I canvassed strongly for us to collect the data. And when we did collect that data, it was overwhelming that over 70% of us were going to another destination. And so how can it be that a decision was half of over, what was effectively over 500 people? A decision was made to take them to a destination, I don't know for what reason, to take them to the destination that didn't characterize where they were, where they were destined to go. And so when we collected that data, we found out that it was 70%. And every time we checked that data, every time, and it was a simple Google form. And at the back, Google form, you have all these pie charts and everything already done for you. And so when we found every day we take the data, we were at least 70% minimum on the average for over 7 days, having people going to another destination. And so what did we do? We took the data and we shared it openly. We gave them we opened the Google form and give you access. You'll be seeing the real life, data showing you, what is happening. They took it and they saw effectively that, look, we cannot be making a decision for this group of people when the highest number of them is going somewhere else. And that decision was changed immediately. Again, the opportunity of sharing was helpful because when we found out that leadership was, mindful what was happening, we proposed that and it changed immediately. In fact, it changed almost immediately. It was impressive. So we should not look at data as a complicated thing. We should not look at it as so hard. We should look at it as an investment, So really, associations just need to prioritize their research. As far as I'm concerned, is an integral part of their strategic planning. And of course, whatever they do, when you think about research from a position of an investment, not a cost, right? Regardless of whether you try to do it yourself or maybe you decide to get some help, just conducting that research is going to help. It's going to be very helpful in making government to take a decision about. Look, there were people. I didn't believe that there were reasons why it was supposed to be just like a flagrant don't do school online. I didn't believe it, and that's because you are not catering to people and groups that can. Nobody shared the data of schools that could complete their year online, and there was a categories of schools we're not going to go to Nigerian schools anyway. And so what happens to them? You ignore them. You can't ignore that group of people. Yes, there is a larger percentage of Nigerians who will not have access to online learning, but there is also a significant, borrowing of Ronke Poshi's words, significant group of people who require their schools to continue to run. Nigerians that means we should be using the same standards for everybody. Everybody should have the same time. Everybody should go to the University of Lagos. Everybody works that way in reality. And that's where data comes in.
It's a rubric, actually. It's a rubric.
Jude, do you want to say something?
Yes, according to Rhoda, it's supposed to be a rubric. Those who can meet the standard and those who cannot. So what you are dealing with your data. And it's surprising that it's only in education we don't have research and development department. In other schools abroad, there is research and development. You even see companies like Samsung having a lab in MIT, in different universities. In our universities here, there's no even department that caters for research and development, which is very important for any growth in any industry. Now, for even schools, they don't do research. They don't do any form of. They don't have a department where they can, like the reader was saying, collate data, work on data, learning data, teaching data, different data that has to do with education. So that has been one of the challenges that education is facing here in Nigeria. We don't have department for research and development because that is important for any industrial growth or for any company or any establishment to actually thrive and make headway in the future.
And the important thing about what Judah just said is that one thing, when you start investing in it, it begins to shift the thinking of your members. So they begin to think along those lines. What is the number of us that is affected by this? And as it shifts their thinking, then it helps them. Members don't just wake up every morning thinking about their association now. So you really also need to think about how you can ask them what they like, what their issues are, or what their at night issues are, and that can be very, very helpful. And at the same time, it can be helpful in just building their profiles. And so then you can then segment your database and say, okay, to deeper degree, to 20% degree, these are people that require X, Y, Z.
Okay. Let me ask Safety Chick. Someone is saying, Emmanuel Michael, thank you for joining, but I want to read this comment. It says, most stakeholders of school association are really seeking for survival. What do you have to say to that?
So survivor, does that mean that they are banking on the association's funds to survive, or things are currently hard during this pandemic and they are not really thinking of the way forward, they're just thinking of how the association would be alive? What exactly does that statement mean in this context? Because that statement is ambiguous.
Okay, so let's drill it a bit in a safety manner. So most stakeholders, we're talking about the stakeholders of the association. Maybe they are busy trying to be alive in terms of the entity of their school or of their brand. Not to talk of now saying, you know, you've not sorted yourself out, you're sorting everyone out. First sort the I before you think of the we.
Okay, so you see, associations are not supposed to be made of one person. So the leadership of an association is supposed to comprise of more than one person. And because it is comprised of more than one person, decisions should be made as a group. Because the thing is, if really associations even do a great job from the leadership, you won't even have to stress yourself so much in your own personal business, because you know that you're already putting great plans for everyone. And if you are putting great plans for everyone, you are also involved. So you get to benefit from your association doing the right thing. So I think that's why you chose to be a leader. When you choose to be a leader, you must be willing to make sacrifices. Many times it seems a leader has to serve. You're not just there to give orders. You're there to ensure that the people you are called to serve are fine. So it might seem like you're putting your own personal need to the back, but I mean, that is the reason you chose to be a leader. When you are a leader, you need to think of the people that you are serving and how they are going to benefit, how things are going to work out for them. And at the end of the day, when you actually create plans that work out for them, you also get to benefit, because you also, for example, maybe you also run a school or something. The insights that are garnered in your leadership meeting, in your plans with the different stakeholders in the association would help everyone. So I understand that the pandemic actually caused a lot of uncertainty. But that uncertainty phase is something that should have passed by now for everyone. Yes, the first few months, it was okay to, look around. We're all learning, but the truth is, even though we have certain plans now, it shouldn't be cast in stone, because even the virus, we keep getting new information. So that's why it's a novel coronavirus. It's not the coronavirus we knew of before. So our plans too at this time should be fluid. It shouldn't be cast in stone, because things might change. But that's why we must work together. It's not something that should be left to one person. Okay, I can see his comment again. He's saying this period has really brought private school association to the test. What is their level of consultation to relevant professionals that will be beneficial to member organizations? Yes, that's a really important comment, because you see, many times when we're setting up things, if we have not done our homework at the beginning, times like this will put us to the test. And that's why in safety, we always say continuous improvement. You don't just say, oh, you have a system in place and you are fine. No, you have to keep watching and ensuring that that system can withstand whatever is thrown at it. And if it does not withstand it, then you need to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, so we messed up here, but these are the things that can help us going forward. And then you put them in place. Nobody is asking you not to make a mistake, but what is important is when you realize a mistake has been made. So what is the next step? That is what is going to differentiate you from so many others. I heard what Mrs. Posh mentioned about no formal statement being made for over a month. Imagine that. So this is the time to see, okay, yes, maybe we have messed up in the past. What is the way forward? What can we put in place to ensure that everyone survives? Because trust me, people are going to remember this pandemic in the future. They are going to be checking what the organizations they were part of did for them. They're going to be checking what the religious organizations they were part of did for them. They're also going to be checking what they also did for themselves. So we need to be sure that when people think about you in future, they would see that you made an effort, you put things in place, you led your people in the right direction.
Thank you so much. The fire is on your own side this time around, but thankfully you have your own extinguisher. So I think I've asked you this question already, but I'm going to take a twist to the question. So I'm going to ask Roke Posh, because there's something she mentioned when we had there was a session we had, I think, at Investigate, Ronke Posh, if you could recall. We had a conversation, and you said that time when you were talking about the consultation, your readiness, talking to parents, test running, piloting, and then executing, a lot of people came to you, sent messages to your inbox, and they were asking for some level of information, support, and assistance. So I want to look at it from that angle of accelerated learning. Rhoda mentioned accelerated learning. How can we get to promote that, especially through the framework of association? Because associations have a better pool, better number, easier mobilization. So how can we get to make that pool?
Okay, I wouldn't have called it accelerated learning. I would just have said that if we are following the trends as an association, so there should be a body, let's call it maybe a segment of the organization that is following the trends in the country, because the coronavirus didn't just land in Nigeria overnight. We had been hearing about it since 2019. So when we heard about it and we were hearing about schools that were closing all around the world, what were we doing? What were we doing? Independently, when I heard that, I started to pull on my network. Friends around the world, the UK, America, Ghana, South Africa. What's happening in your schools? Can I have newsletters? What are the things that you're doing? What's happening? And that was what helped us with Leponche. Yesterday was our graduation. Wednesday was our graduation. And this was part of the things I told the parents, that it was following the trends that helped us to be able to move on almost immediately. Following the trends, when we're asked to close, we had even closed before the federal government said we should close. We had closed because we were following the trends. There's a case in Nigeria, there are cases in Nigeria, and yet schools are open. We closed. So that 2 weeks before the end of term, we weren't twiddling our thumbs either. We were implementing, we were piloting. So these associations, who is following the trends? So that when this thing happens or what's happening, we would have said, oh, this is happening and it can come to Nigeria. If it comes to Nigeria, what is our plan? What are we going to do as schools? And then they shoot out letters. My parents were getting letters almost every other day. And I was telling them, my apologies, but this is how it's going to be because I need you to be in the loop to know what was happening. That's why we didn't have a lot of resistance. I had about a lot of resistance. But communication was just, as they say, babe. Because I kept telling my parents, this thing has come. The reason why we're closing the school early because we have little children and we don't want anything to happen to them and the school will be trending that coronavirus came to the school. No, somebody should be following the metrics and the news in this association so that when something happens, there will be somebody to guide us and say, this is what we're all going to do. But of course, nothing like that happened and everybody just going helter-skelter and see what happened. A great mess.
Wow. So I think from what I could take from what you said, we have to be very proactive, if possible, set up committees to prevent this kind of blind spots, because you just had to do something. And a lot of people probably even have the capacity to do things, but probably the structure has not been put in place to make them take advantage of some of these things that we're talking about. So want to thank those who are joining us for the first time on the show and those who've been joining us
not a separate time.
You said? Ronke Posh, what did you say?
Okay, I wasn't, there's a delay. I was saying that I don't believe we need a new organization. I'm not saying in the existing organizations that people belong to, there should be. So if you have the NAPS, if you have the APEN and the likes, who is following the trends in those departments? Yeah,
that's why I said like a committee. Yeah, it's not necessarily. Yeah, so that it will be that unit or committee or group's responsibility to project, to profile, and to, just like people plan conferences, people should actually have a unit that takes care of those kind of concerns. Awesome.
Let me jump in right there. Just even addressing the concept of accelerated learning and things like that. Even I had to dig in and say, okay, so what's a real problem when we go back to school, when schools go back? Of course, after we've talked about how to return, all the support systems that schools need, that associations should be leading and stuff like that. And then even I have to think, because there's many the different kind of understanding around accelerated learning, and I have to say, okay, well, if this continues over time, because it can move from a situation of remediation to acceleration and things like that. Now, acceleration is really in this time and in our context, we then mean what are the traditional barriers to learning. So those conversations need to start. You need to start having it as an association, because guess what? You will go back to school. Coronavirus will not be here forever. And you go back to it and you have to deal with it. And if you have to deal with it, what is accelerated learning going to look like to cover up the base? Who knows if third term is going to permanently scrapped, what the situation is? You don't know for different people and for different school sectors. So for different categories of people, it means something different. Some people will only have to do remediation. Some people will have to do accelerated learning. And their own vantage point of accelerated learning will be to take away the traditional barriers to learning. So if there are excessive subjects at the time, just take it out and focus on the ones that are important for that time. So you use all the school hours that you get when you return and use it to mitigate, for the children for the time that they have come back in, because you don't have time, you've lost. So these kinds of conversations need to happen in associations, and they need to take all of them seriously as they go along this journey.
Awesome. I'm going to go straight to Jude. Mr. Jude.
The coronavirus might be here to stay. We might just have to learn to live with it.
Really?
But there was a gap.
We might have that's true. Yes, that's true. Because we need to plan.
We might have to learn to live with it. And when we are considering the accelerated learning, even when children go back with their masks and do all the things that the federal government have instructed, the school days are actually supposed to be shorter. So when we talk about the accelerated, what is going to be the impact on the emotional and psychological well-being of these children? We need to have that discussion.
Exactly. And that's all of it makes up that whole accelerated program. How do we get them back emotionally, mentally? What's the most important thing that they need to be learning? Because we need to be serious about that.
Exactly.
We need to be really serious about that. And these conversations should be had in school associations right now. Should be beginning, because it takes time to plan. And who knows? Yes, we're going to live with coronavirus for God knows forever, but this situation of the lockdown won't last forever. At some point we've been given a timeline when vaccines will come, and we'll all have to have either built-in herd immunity because there is vaccine, or we all have to take the vaccine. So life will still go back.
Awesome. I'm enjoying
this.
So
I know that now Mr. Rotimi, please, can I say something?
Yes. Yeah.
This is really very important, because now that people are uncertain as to when children would have to return to a physical school building, this is the time for school associations, school owners to come together and use the document the federal government has released. Yesterday, an educator reached out to me to say, because I shared the federal government document and the risk assessment on my Telegram group. And she says, this document is so intense, it doesn't look like it's achievable. Who is going to sit down and read it? Something that is just 52 pages. And you see, I said, the government's job is to make sure that this document is available. The onus is now on us to sit down, go through it, decompose it in a way that the important things are being shared to every educator so that they are ready. We do not want a situation where tomorrow some schools will be allowed to open and some others would not. And then the children get to suffer. At the end, we must always think of the children involved. So when we're talking about even reducing the time children are going to spend in school, we must be thinking of what is the most important thing children need to learn at every level, cut off the fluff and stick to the important things that they are going to need going forward, because the world is changing. So we cannot, everything now has to be really fluid.
And to add to that,
I'm glad you mentioned that the document was sent, and the onus is on everybody else to read the document. But I'm a realist, because all these things that we are saying, I believe that if you want to catch a monkey, as they say, you have to behave like one. So you want to catch a monkey, you really need to start doing like that. A lot of people are not going to read it. Even yesterday, I posted online that any educator that needed basic training in graphics, send me a DM. Don't write here. I got a series of, I'm interested, I'm in.
You didn't finish reading. Then you see, this is where we come in. This is where we come in.
Isn't that the job of the association?
Know it or not?
Isn't that the job of the association?
Exactly. So this is what we are supposed to
and
do.
interpret it.
Yes, because many times I have to do
is burning, guys. The fire is burning.
Mr. Rotimi, can I say something?
No. You guys say something. I want to get away from this heat. I'm thanking God I didn't put on a tie today. So let's just read some comments and then we'll come back. Ronke Posh, please hold your thoughts. Safety Chick, hold your thoughts. Jude, you must prophesy on this situation. And of course, Rhoda, we need a curricular answer to this part. So let's just read some of the comments. I think I like when Ronke Posh reads comments. So I would like Ronke Posh to read some of the comments for us. So Ronke Posh, please do us the honor. Let's read some comments from our colleagues online.
She's okay.
Ronke Posh, are you there?
Larry, good morning. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Larry, Mr. English. Thanks for being here. Next comment. Emmanuel Michael, most stakeholders of school associations are really seeking for survival. Politricking is sometimes what is obtainable. Ronke Posh. Thank you, Ronke Posh. School associations need clear-cut directions. Emmanuel Michael. Antinka Ogunde, good morning, everybody. Emmanuel Michael, this period has really brought private school associations to the test. What is the level of consultation to relevant professionals that will be beneficial to member schools? The excellent teacher says to Rhoda, speaking from one corner of the mouth, she quotes Rhoda, got me laughing. Eitayo says data collection is one form of expression with regards to collaboration. Okay, no. Rhoda said that. Mrs. Ogunde said research is key. Mr. Ogunde says we cannot depend on intuition alone. Yeah, same thing as they were saying. And God forbid, coronavirus. Here we are. Ike Ogechukwu, good morning to you. MD Lekis. Sorry, my apologies if I pronounced your name wrong. Sacrifice and service as a leader is essential. MD Lekis. Gotti, good morning to you. Favor, everything boils down to leadership. Most association leaders are not forward thinking. And I always like to say to people, when they say most, I always say, where is your data? So maybe some. Everything boils down to leadership. Some association leaders are not forward thinking. Permission to rephrase. So school associations play politics just as it is in our nation's politics. You know, that's the thing. Oh, school owners, they're all thieves. They're wicked. I'm gonna ask my own teachers. They will tell you that they're not this one. Coronavirus, they got full salary. So let's not use that most. What it says, to improve the status of teachers and teaching profession, we need to emphasize professionalism in existing or intending associations. Niger kids, where are you? Ike, welcome to the show. Ike, this is your first time here. All right, let's do that. Ding, 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 ding.
Hello, blessings.
Good morning. That name also sounds new. Anybody else? Niger Kids, Glory Garden School, Abel Kuta, welcome. I think I've seen that name, but Prophet Jude, around the world, the private industry is big on research and development. That's how data is generated, analytical decisions and future plans made. We wait for foreign data to make local decisions. Even at that, honestly, we heard that in the United States that data was manipulated. So they have some of these our traits. In fact, they taught us. So they also they get data better than we do, yes, but they also manipulate data. Ini Etim Daniel, Miss Phil is watching with you. Okay, I didn't get that. Godi says it took just one bank in Nigeria to change banking and the status of bankers. So is it going to take one association or one school or one school leader or one person to change the educational sector? Who is going to be the Jesus of the educational sector in Nigeria? Good morning, Mr. Alex. Good to have you here. Teachers are poorly paid today because of how they are perceived in society. Arguably so, because we have some are well paid. If you have value, nobody's going to pay you 10K. I didn't finish that comment. This can be addressed if we have a professional association with a global outlook. We have associations with global outlooks. We just need to work on the mindset of we need to work on the mindset of educators, and we also need to ensure that we are churning out the right kind of caliber of graduates. Mr. MD, thank you, Mr. Rotimi. Nigeria kids, I'm enjoying the talk. Good to have you here. Excellent teacher, my favorite show person, Safety Chick. She says to Safety Chick, a lot of people will not read that document. Thank you. Thanks for detouring. They won't read that document. So you need to either do a video in broken English and dance there, or do something that will be entertaining, and they will come and say, hey, what's the document? You know, that's what's going to happen. So that's what we have here. So if you go and put 50 pages, they will be forwarding it to all the WhatsApp groups as if they have information. They will forward it. See what the government said. If you ask them what is there, so if you want to catch up, behave like one. If you're, school associations need to stand up to the responsibility of advising, consulting, making recommendations to the Department of Education. But do they want to hear us? Because for a month, like I said, do they want us on the table? There should be, okay, that went off too quickly. Favor has a question. The NAPS, okay, back to IFIOC. There should be collaboration with teachers, students, parents, and the whole school community. We all know what to do. It's in theory. But when it comes to practice, it's a whole different ballgame. Favor says the NAPS president said they have a tax of private school teachers. Does that represent only their numbers or all private schools? You know I'm on air, so let me reserve my comments, my reserve. Emmanuel says those children that this pandemic has affected will do far well in life. They have simply discovered diversification in their learning process. And to that I say amen. And I pray that the prophet has seen this. Prophet Jude, I hope you've seen this as well to come to pass. Amen. So Prophet Jude said we need to share more at this time, and a period, especially with regards to virtual learning and class. Okay, we need to share more. Jude, you've been sharing. I've followed you. Overshared. In fact, it's enough. You don't share again. Is the solution in sharing? All the material out there, has it changed anything? I'm not saying don't share, but I'm saying that we need to work on the mind of the educators. Nigeria Kid says collaboration is very important at this time. Ugochi, the safety chick. Yes. Any more? Rhoda says school associations must have a shared improvement plan. Good. I agree. We should. Questions? Update on, okay, that was me asking after Nigeria Kid. What happened to you? You always brighten up the show, excellent teacher. Yes, you do. I like you so much.
Okay, I'm afraid that's all we have for today on that comment section. I would just want us to take last words. I don't know where Jude disappeared to, but I'll go straight to Safety Chick. I'll come back to Rhoda and then Ronke as we take our last words on the show. So Safety Chick.
Okay, so I've been having series of IG sessions trying to simplify the safety guidelines for patients to their members. So I've decomposed all the stuff we have put in those mighty documents to simple forms that organizations can understand and schools can run with it. So I'm available to do that for any organization that reaches out. Yes.
Are you going to dance Kelewu with it as well?
I'm not going to dance. I will just teach in the simplest way possible. I use case studies. I use stories.
Come on, stop it.
I think one of the things I'm really great at is being able to. One of the things I'm really great at. Say that again.
Do something unusual. Let us see you even dance.
What did she say?
She said you should do something unusual. Something unusual. Okay. Okay, Rhoda.
Yes, just got my video to say my, just to say my goodbyes. And really, a lot of people are going through serious challenges. I mean, to put it in the at the barest minimum. And one of the things that people do need right now is a lot of support. A lot of, I don't know how I'm going to, go about this thing. What's my future going to look like in the next 6 months? What if, a lot of what ifs. And there are a couple of people out there who are sharing quite a number of things. Safety Chief just mentioned I've been drilling down the learning patterns as in that guideline. Not a lot to share, but, we can decompose it into bits, and I'm already doing that. So share that soon. Ronke Posh had already reached out to people. Go to her page, you see, she says, if you need help in this, if you need help in that, I can, send me a message, So, but just to say, what, we will get through this time. Breathe, keep breathing. You need to breathe so that you can, think and be able to shift your thinking, because mindset change is what we need now more than ever. So I hope that we can mine more research, local research, simple ones that people can understand to help people. One of the things that I've done in my team, and what we do really well at Bridge, is to paint the picture quite clearly and then get people to give us their feedback about what they think, and they're involved in it. So let's get more people involved. And I think we'll get to a place where we really need to be.
And then Ronke Posh.
Thank you. Another thing that we have to do is to educate the public about the importance of education, which is going to be my next assignment. Yesterday, it was in the media about a school somewhere around Nigeria that the owner had turned it into a chicken farm. And they put it on many platforms that I belong to, and people were laughing. And I couldn't find the humor in it. I just couldn't find the humor. Let me laugh small, I like to laugh. I couldn't find the humor in it, because that's a school that has been turned into a chicken farm. If that chicken farm takes off, that is another school gone. And we don't even have enough schools. Parents need to realize that the future of Nigeria still lies in this education. Educators need to stop laughing at each other, calling each other pepper sellers when people are trying to do well for themselves. There is dignity in labor. You're not begging online. You are doing something and people are laughing at you. I don't get it. So we need, in my humble opinion, to let the typical Nigerian parents and educator know that education is the only thing that can bail us out. Formal and informal education is the only thing that can bail us out in Nigeria. We need to support each other and really stop laughing and stop sharing people's picture up and down, mocking them. It's too sad.
Okay, it's been a great time today, and I believe that I didn't even know we're going to get to this point, and being able to cover a lot. I would like to appreciate our analysts today. And like we said yesterday, that we will take steps to also encourage people who join us on this show. And we've discovered this week, and especially since we started last week, some regular followers on this program. And one person I know is the excellent teacher. The excellent teacher is one person that joins us, and in fact, she's always almost like the first person. Abigail Solomon is there. Favor just joined us. So, but what we're going to do is this: on Monday, we're going to announce set of gifts that we're going to give to you guys that have been loyal to this show. And believe me, it's going to be fantastic. So what you want to do is to be online next week on Monday to listen to what we're going to say to those who have won a gift based on your followership. And I really thank Ronke Posh for bringing that comment out, saying that you guys, thank you for joining. You're always making this show brightened up in some special way. Please understand this, that all that we do on the Good Morning Show is to shape our thoughts, change our mindset, get us equipped and engaged. So it's not for you just to listen and love what we're saying, but you need to begin to do things with what you hear on this platform. When you do, then you are able to have. And you know, Rokeposh mentioned something that I actually shared with Rhoda on Sunday on the Hard Talk Education Show. There is dignity in labor, but it doesn't stop there. There is also dividends in labor. You understand? So it's not just the dignity, but there is dividend. There are dividends accrued to it. So please ensure that as you go ahead into the weekend, you make sure that you do the best that you can and be at a positive level, at a positive energy level, and ensure that you will be one of the reasons we'll celebrate the education sector in Nigeria. Had a great time today. Some people just joined us. Gift, thank you for joining. Gift Godfrey, good morning, Delectables. We thank you all. It's always great to be here. Thank Ifyok. Ifyok says, you guys me fired up. Well done. Thanks to those who give fire from our show. Helen is saying, this is my first time here. Rocket, we need that bell again, bell of blessing. This is the first time. I wish you all well. I wish you...
I'm going to have to get a real bell or something really cool.
Yeah. The road I ring the bell of blessing.
Welcome, Helen.
So share the word and all that. So we're ending with the news once more and our outro. But this is signing out for you. Thank you all. Thank you, and have a great weekend ahead.
Weekend. Yeah. Bye, everyone.